You are now listening to PODCORN, episode 11, for June 12, 2013.
Late night like she on patrol, checking everything like I'm on parole. I told her it's some things she don't need to know. She never let it go.
This is our PODCORN podcast. Me and AmyReeder and BMontclare.
That's me.
Yeah.
Me and you.
Yeah. We're in a good mood today because, last weekend our Kickstarter wrapped up. And I feel like it went out pretty strong. It was a good Kickstarter overall, but had a really good ending too. And feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, very excited. Got a lot of a lot of interested people in it to back the project, but a lot of people talking about it, how much they like it, and how much they're kind of looking forward to it, which is always, as much as Kickstarter is about, generating, the finances to make a book, it is also about interacting with the readers, and people have nothing but nice things to say.
It's been good. I mean, maybe the people who don't like us just don't say anything, which is fine by me.
That's always the case, right? But you also met some people in the flesh at Denver Comic-Con.
Yeah. I feel like there's
been
a
Minnesota
really
before
good,
that.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a really good reaction to it. I mean, over at those places, all you have, what I tried to do, because I don't have a comic book out yet, was I had like the print of like the close up of Rocket Girl, and then I had like an iPad that I would show some pages from, and then I also had like little cards, that have the image on the front and then the Kickstarter on the back, and then I started making all these signs because I wanted people to be prepared about what I was talking about Kickstarter and stuff. But
the short version is
the
Midwest is looking forward to Rocket Girl.
Yeah. You know what was really cool is it seemed like I was really happy to see that a lot of people, especially guys, would look at the image of her and that close-up with a helmet on, and it's pretty clunky, right? This helmet and her hair is not showing and all this stuff, and like so many guys came past and they were pointing at it and they're like, that looks cool, and I was really happy to hear that, because I was afraid that maybe they wouldn't be too excited about somebody like a girl that unless she was having some sort of thing like where she's showing even a slight bit of skin, because I mean literally Rocket Girl's covered from head to toe, but also there's no hair showing, nothing super dainty, and they thought it was cool. They want to see a kick-ass girl,
right? We call that we call that the teaser image of Rocket Girl, because it's kind of the first peek of what you got to see of her.
It's the first thing I ever did too.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It's also the first finished piece you ever drew and inked and colored and did everything on. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but we'll also talk about the cover to number one and the thought process behind it. Both are very simple images. Teaser image you want to be simple, so that's more just like, what was it like putting that on paper for the first time. And then Rocket Girl went with a very simple cover design after Halloween Eve, which was probably the most complex cover design probably that you've ever done. You've done a few really. You did the one Madame Xanadu, is it 17 with the bugs, or was it
that one? But that's even kind of simple looking. It's got a blank background,
right? So I'm trying to think of some of the
I did some complex ones. 16 was the one where she's like, there are a lot of city scenes that I've done, and trying to think here. I don't know.
But the line work on Rocket Girl...
there was a lot of work in Halloween Eve, yeah.
Right, but the line work on Rocket Girl is very simple, but we did that, we agreed to that on purpose, the reason for it, so we're going to talk about that too. But getting back to the teaser image.
Yeah.
What's it like when she's looking back at you for the first time? Or is that silly because you're looking at it from a blank page until it's done, so,
No, it's cool. It's like, I was doing a bunch of sketches, and it's very close to what the sketch looks like. Mm-hmm. I was just sketching her a few times, and then you get to the point where you feel like she's realized, I don't know if every artist feels this way, but I know when something's right, and then I stick with it. And so, that was really cool. I remember I wanted to make somebody who was, who looked pretty 80s, but also very, anime inspired. Not like I was like, you know, not like I'm a super fan, but it's just there are so many like cool anime, you know, movies and stuff, and the designs are always really cool. So I wanted something that kind of was reminiscent of that as well.
Well, and a lot of those movies coming to the fore in 1980. And just to recap for people who may not be familiar with Rocket Girl, it's about a teenage cop from the future who goes back to 1986.
Yeah,
you know, and
exactly.
you can check out the Kickstarter. Even though the Kickstarter is over, you can check out the page and get a lot of information on it. Or you can check out Amy's Tumblr, or even my Tumblr, to see more about it. But just so people know that
that's a good.
That's
point
the background.
To have a backdrop, yeah.
And the idea is kind of to do, a retro future. Kind of design, right? Something that something that someone in 1986 would think the future would look like.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some things that are kind of behind the times. My reasoning behind that was, besides it just, that we're kind of doing something inspired by it, is that perhaps if we had advanced a ton in technology, maybe the styles wouldn't really advance as quickly because we'd be so busy, wrapped up in our technology.
Right, but even though you worked out the design, that teaser image, the first image, is just a close-up.
Yeah,
so you don't see the whole costume.
Which is really important, I think, when you're designing a character. You want to know what they look like when they're close-up. You want to make sure that, you can kind of touch and feel, every little, groove of what's going on with their costume, so that when you draw it in different angles, you actually know what you're drawing. Mm-hmm. And so, and to me, I always feel like close-ups are important. I have a close-up Supergirl where she's flying at you that is a memorable cover for me. I did a close-up of Batwoman where she's taking her mask off, or no, putting it on, I guess. And I've got a close-up of the first Xanadu cover was kind of close-up.
And the second was even closer.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like it's important for people to see who the character is. I don't know, it's a big emphasis of mine. So yeah, I felt like I should do that first. And yeah, I just thought I wanted to make these weird reflective things go off of her,
right,
off of her helmet as if she's in a tunnel or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just felt very 80s that way. So it's just what I pictured.
Not just neon, but reflected neon, or
yeah. Just something about reflective helmets makes me think of the 80s.
And what's she thinking with that expression?
She just means business, It's definitely kind of the attitude that she has. It's just an intense face, but also not too expressive. You know what I mean?
Well, she's not worried.
No, she's not too concerned.
But she also, in a way, because she's so young, wants you to know that she's not worried. But she doesn't want you to know that she wants you to know.
Yeah.
It sounds very ridiculous, complex. But it's very subtle. But it's, I think real.
Thanks.
I think that's what kind of works. What about mixed ethnicity for, doing a close-up on the face, one of the first, the first go at it being a completely, finished image?
Well, yeah, that's part of the design process, right, is I wanted to draw her close-up to make sure that I could pull that off, too. And I don't know, I feel like I'm still figuring it out and stuff, but yeah, she's supposed to be half white, half Korean, and so yeah, I kind of put I don't know, yeah, hopefully I pulled that off and stuff. I don't know what to say about that. I added freckles to make that kind of clear. That
there's certainly enough people in the world of mixed race that you can use as reference, but
yeah. Well, your daughter is half Korean, actually. So,
she is.
So
she's not 15 yet.
She's not 15 yet, but
dozen years before I got to worry about that.
But I think I can still glean a little bit from how she looks. It's a very complicated thing, because obviously when people mix races, the outcomes are totally varied. But I wanted to make it as clear as I could that she would be mixed. It's kind of hard. I don't even know if I'm pulling it off, to be honest. But
I think it looks fantastic.
Thanks.
But it's like I said, it's a close-up image. Mm-hmm. It was designed to go with a lot of text over it.
Yeah.
And we'll have an image posted up with the podcast, with all that stuff. So, in a way, like I said, you see, it's not, you see a bit of the costume, but I think you want to see more. You want to say, well, what's that all about? What's going on? you almost, as a reader, want to say, hey, what, pull out and let's see some more of that. And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, that is what
cover.
I was trying to do.
Right, so taking this then into the cover.
Okay.
Cover is then, she's not standing still. She's literally rocketing, right?
Yeah.
And you see her full costume, and that's about it.
Yeah, she's just flying down. And I had actually, this took me a long time to design. I tried so many things, and it was tough because I kind of really liked the teaser image. And I find that, like, when I've found the thing that I pictured, it's really hard after that to come up with anything else. So, I just started drawing her at different poses flying.
I think we had her flying up at one point.
Yeah, we had one with her flying up, and I was going to do this, like, thing where the stuff shooting out of a rocket pack would be, like, very graphic, like where it looks like a graphic designer did, like, weird, lines and actual star shapes and stuff shooting out of it. Brandon was kind of concerned that it would look too much for kids if we did that. I don't know if it would have, but we might do it for a later one. But we just really wanted to...
Only because, and I don't think it would, but I think we have had... this is a practical problem.
Yeah.
Whereas people see Rocket Girl pages or even Halloween's Eve, and they kind of jump to the conclusion, oh, it's for kids.
Yeah, that's immediately what people said when we gave them the teaser image and the pages to different publishers. They're like, oh, is this a kid's book? All ages.
So as much as I like the graphic idea, my concern wasn't even that it should remind people of kids, but, maybe we should do something to avoid it. Find a different image.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I was kind of sketching things through, and I felt really self-conscious, which is never good for me, and I was showing Brandon some of my sketches, and he saw something that I had drawn that was just not, like, is not really, like, anatomically correct, right? But it was just kind of like a swoop I did of her flying downward. And he was like, well, this is great, and I was trying to think whether I could actually make it work. I was like, no, I have to kind of sketch it through to see if it's even, like, humanly possible. And it was just kind of a hard angle to picture. And he was like, no, but that would be great because, like, that would make a great t-shirt if you have, like, the flame going down the top of a shirt so we could... And he knew that I wanted to do t-shirts.
But not just t-shirts, anything. A poster, a mug... What doesn't quite fit the dimensions of a screen, like a screensaver, but just an image you could put anywhere because of its composition and because of the use of negative space.
Yeah, and also I think it's creative. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As far as angles to do for a cover, I
also think
it's not something you usually see where the character is upside down.
Well, you said that we had looked at some things of her flying up, and we had looked at things with her. Sitting on the ledge of a building, all different kinds of things also.
Yeah.
But to do a solo image flying down, I think it is, well, first of all, she's coming in for a landing, right? She's not coming from another planet, but she kind of is in a way.
Yeah.
So, and maybe coming in for a crash landing, how fast she is. So I think it's faster. I think there's more peril. But again, as much as you pull out and see action in this, she still has, her face, she doesn't show any emotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which was hard. It's hard for me not to show any emotion, too.
She's,
I actually edited her face quite a lot.
To get it right? Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that says a lot, right? Sometimes, something can be too cartoony, right? It can be like, if she's stern, she's going to be making a grimace, or she's happy and her smile is so wide the top of her head's going to fall off or something like to be able to pull off a real emotion, which is what you did, is, more difficult.
Yeah.
So to say that she's emotionless, it isn't just like, well, I don't have to do anything to her face. It's really hard, Well,
for me it is, yeah. Because
it's for it to be emotionless yet not dead.
Yeah.
I think is very hard.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way. I still feel like a little bit self-conscious that it doesn't have enough determination in it. But yeah, I think it works. Like, I also, like, when I first had it, it was a lot more simple. I hadn't really figured out what to do in the background. I'm a little bit novice at coloring. And the hardest thing for me is effects. Like, I don't really know how to do a lot of effects.
Well, people could say, and if you look at different stages of this, well, now there's too many effects. And I don't know, I think they look
So
great.
far, people like it, though.
Yeah.
Actually, our friend, and she's an artist too, Layla Del Duca, she actually texted me when she got the email on the update of this cover and told me how much she liked it.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool. So far, it seems like it's good feedback. Again, maybe people just don't tell you when they don't like it.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, you use every imaginable colors that, a range of colors that most people don't, right? Because it is very, the worry is, will it reproduce well on paper as it does on a screen? And I think so, because it is so much contrast, right?
Yeah.
To have the orange and the
okay.
purple, or the orange and the blue, and which is so heavy. And printed on a glossy paper, I think it's going to be great. And then
so far, I've been pretty lucky when it comes to how things are printed. I've had like a couple that were too saturated, but it's never muddy. I've never had that problem.
I know on Halloween Eve we saw a preview page. It was printed on dull paper, and we almost had a heart attack. So, oh my god, it's going to look like this. But luckily, when it was printed on the right paper, the actual book was great. But this would be like an advertisement, in a different book that was printed on matte, and like,
Yeah, we were kind of concerned. So it was good that we figured that out, huh?
Well,
I think
but it wasn't an issue.
Well, yeah, but I think they recommend the matte, and so like it was good that we knew to say no way, Jose, it's gonna be glossy.
From working at DC and at Vertigo, 9 times out of 10, I think the matte is better. But I think when something 9 times out of 10 is better, you have a as an editor or a publisher, you have a tendency to use it 10 times out of 10. You need to know the time where it's like, no, go to the glossy stock. I mean, everything was glossy 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, it's too slick. It's you want a little bit of texture, so put it on the matte. And usually it looks better.
Yeah.
But with your stuff, and it's basically your coloring,
Yeah, it's the way I color.
Right.
I color pretty shiny.
Yeah.
So, and actually with Rocker Girl, I think that it doubly so needs to be glossy, just because her helmet and everything is glossy.
I think every book you do, you say doubly so has to be glossy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you say Halloween, it has to be glossy. It has to.
I don't know, not as much as this, though. Like, I mean, even now with the prints, I kind of feel like maybe I should start doing glossy prints when I usually do matte prints.
Right.
Just because, like, the shine effects will look more fake if it's not an actual, like, shiny print. But yeah.
So now that we're seeing her
yeah.
full costume, talk about the design.
Yes. So yeah, like I said before, I wanted something that felt kind of anime inspired. Just because I know that a lot of people like the film animes, you know what I mean, who read comics for sure. There's a lot of crossover with that. And a lot of it I feel like is really nice to look at, you know what I mean? I feel like I find more like visually attractive things for my own tastes if I look in that direction. So yeah, I wanted to go kind of like 80s anime, which meant like kind of like clunky things on all of her arms and legs and stuff. A little bit like Mega Man or Astro Boy inspired. With the helmet, like, I managed to make it kind of triangular shaped. And at first I thought that was all me, but honestly, like, I was probably kind of influenced by Frank Quietly's Shimura work, which I know we've talked about a lot here. But she's, like, kind of got this samurai futuristic helmet thing going on.
Right.
And, like, samurai things were, like, a little wider on the sides, a little more triangular shaped. So, that must be why.
Well, it's also aerodynamic this way, I think.
Yeah. I felt like just a plain helmet would be too boring. I didn't want it to just be round.
But as much as belts and clunkiness might define late 80s and early 90s comics, I think with Rocket Girl, it plays off to her vulnerabilities, because she has a helmet that's a little too big, shoulder pads that are a little too big, springs on the bottom of her shoes, but you still see that she's slight and very small. I mean, she means business.
Yeah,
she thinks
the
she
contrast,
means business.
That's exactly it.
But
I didn't
she's just
even
a
know.
girl.
Yeah, I didn't even express it right, but that's exactly it. The contrast of all these clunky things on a little girl is just cool to look at. You know what I mean? I don't know. So yeah, and I kept I pictured her being pretty light colored, pretty much white, but of course if you make her all white, then that's just going to be boring.
Well,
so
it's primarily black and white with a couple of color details, but
yeah, and a little bit of gray.
Right, but one that's police officer, black and white. But also part of a very big theme in the story is DaYoung, right? That's Rocket Girl's name. Mm-hmm. Seeing the world in black and white because she's young, and is she going to grow up and is it a strength or a weakness to see the world in black and white, or should you appreciate shades of gray, so to speak?
Yeah.
So to have a character that's black and white and a police officer and that kind of, thematic design behind it, it's layered, which is good.
Yeah. And I should say that there's like police lights on her, like 6 different police lights on her costume.
Right.
And those were Brandon's idea, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, well, it adds to the clunkiness in a way, but also gives you...
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's also just like a cool storytelling tool, so whenever she pulls up and stops people, her lights are going off, so that's a pretty cool effect.
Right, well, she's like a one-man police car, and,
yeah.
Like I said, that's kind of, it's kind of the jetpack police officers in the future.
Yeah.
Right? And we've hinted at this before, but somebody who knows their Korean has to take a close look at her helmet and
her symbol
her
on her chest
symbol and try to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know if I keep looking at the one on her chest, and I don't know if proportion wise it looks like what it's supposed to be, but I hope so. It should just be DaYoung's name, the first syllable on her hat.
Well, you gave it away.
Oh, whatever. We've said it before.
Yeah. It's both a mirror image, right? But if you look at the left half of her helmet and combine that with the right half of her
chest symbol,
it's her name.
Yes.
And there's some other future cops that we'll see a little bit of. And their names are
supposedly I'm going to make symbols on theirs too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that I get it right.
No, you'll get it right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Also, I just wanted it to look cool and fashionable. You know what I mean? Like a few touches here and there.
Right.
That would make it look awesome. And hopefully work in real life. That's the real question. I am not sure whether that sort of a rocket pack would work being suspended basically on her shoulders and also around her waist. If that's the only ways that you hook it to her, will it work if somebody were to cosplay her? I don't know.
Well, with a real jetpack? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it's made out of PVC or something.
Maybe the 80 feet of burning rocket fuel flame that shoots out of her might singe her a little bit, too, if it was real.
But obviously that's why she's covered from head to toe.
Oh,
this stuff must be, fire resistant.
Oh.
Yeah. So don't start her costume on fire.
She can't.
Be wrong.
That's right. Yeah, don't use a flamethrower on a rocket girl.
No way.
She'll take it out of your hand and do something nasty with it.
You know it. Let's see here. So, trying to think. Yeah, I don't know.
What about the logo?
Oh yeah, and I gotta just say that her boots are inspired by Sindel from Ewok Adventures.
I don't even know who that is.
She's this. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. She's this really young, curly, blonde-haired girl that becomes best friends with what's his face?
Wicket?
Yeah, Wicket. She's very cute. Sindel, Cindel. So anyway, I was trying to remember.
But no springs on Sindel's shoes.
No, but it was funny because I was trying to picture these boots, and I was like, why am I think I remember these on Sindel, so I had to look up the movie. So yeah, very 80s inspired in a lot of ways.
Right, but the shock absorbers on her heel and that spring out, very Air Jordan, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's got kind of like Air Jordan boots.
Yeah, we should have a scene with her playing basketball.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I'm going to have to do so much reference search because I'm no athlete.
What about the logo?
I designed the logo, and I'm really happy with it. At first I was a little shaky, but I feel like I got a hang of it.
I love the drop shadow on the cover, which is such a silly thing to love.
Well, but the drop shadow is motion blurred. That's why it looks cool.
Right, but also just the way you affected it on the screensaver, which maybe we can link up to also. Where you just changed the colors, where you just went to like a pale pink and blue.
Yeah.
Whatever you do with this logo, it looks like amazing. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
So.
Yeah, no, actually, that was a really cool discovery on the screensaver, yeah, that it's really cool when you do them 2 different colors. You can also kind of like stack the 2 if you want to. There's like a lot of different things that you can do with it. So
not flexible by design, but or was it?
What do you mean?
Did you, when you were designing it was kind of temporary, and it said, well, this is definitely it when you were done. But did you say, well, there's a million things I can do with it? Because I don't think you...
No, I tried to make it something that I could do multiple things with.
Okay, well, then I stand corrected.
Yeah. And obviously, like, the K and the L, they kind of, like, rocket up to the top of the screen, so... yeah, no, I mean, it was all intentional. It took a lot of time to, like, because you want to make it... I don't use vectors. I don't know how to use vectors, so I kind of, like, made something that was good enough to be vectory looking to make it lots of circle tools and stuff like that.
Right. So October is when you can get a copy of this book, cover and all.
That's right. Hopefully early October, so we can have it ready for New York Comic Con.
Yeah, that's the goal, the Wednesday of New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
That's the target date.
Yeah. First issue's already done. And yeah.
Publisher to be announced soon.
Yeah, in a month or so. And yeah, it's just gonna be really awesome. And seriously, for those of you who backed us and anybody who's excited about this, anything, just thank you so much. I mean, it's really cool that we get to have an opportunity like this. You know, it's like, I feel incredibly lucky. I think Brandon feels the same way. And it's good that we get to involve people again. And, like, I mean, you know, what we were able to raise for this, what you guys were able to help us with, is really going to just help us so that we can make this an ongoing series and just run it as long as possible and make it really something special.
No, yeah, it's the book we're on, and
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And now you know, I wouldn't say that the pressure is on, right? That now, you know, the expectations are high. That expectations are high is just validating. It makes us want to do more and get it out there and show everybody sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. But it's like Amy said, the first issue is now done, colored, everything. Mm-hmm. You know, and all the other issues underway, and you know, lots of big plans.
Yes.
All right. So, well, we should give a thanks, as we always do, to Chris Robinson, who puts these together.
He's the best.
You can find him at Chris Robinson on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Amy's at AmyReeder.
That's correct.
And I'm at BMontclare because there's too many letters in my name.
Yeah, although no, I think you should have just done Brandon.
You think that wasn't taken?
It was taken?
You think Brandon's taken?
No, it's not taken.
At Brandon on Twitter is not taken?
No, at Brandon Montclair.
Oh, the whole thing.
Like, I think you should have done the whole thing.
Then I would have, like, so many less letters than the average person to say cool stuff.
Oh, that's true. Nobody would be able... They'd, like, write you, like, how's it going? And that would be it.
Yeah, exactly. I'd have, like, instead of, you know, I'd have to use less exclamation marks.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Alrighty, well, anyway, you guys take care, and we'll keep updating you with some good stuff.
Thanks again.
See ya.
Somebody please make a stop.